Okay, this is what I look like. Ain't pretty. Used to be pretty. Trying to get pretty again. And I was walking because I got a crash diet. Hey, somebody likes me. And you see, I work for this magazine called Redpub. You can find them online, redpub.com. It's a local art magazine. And we cover theater, art, and music in the local Houston area. And I am the theater critic. And I have something coming up. The ex left me and the house burned down after Harvey. I kind of got a little fat, so I got to work off some weight. So I got 30 minutes to sit here and walk. So decided to just start talking about what I've got coming up when I get this handbook done. And if it sells well enough, I've got some artists lined up, and I've talked to them, and what we got coming up. Because I'm trying to get Mystara back online. As everybody knows that. That ain't no secret. See, the problem is, I'm working on books that were written 30 years ago, and continuity's not the strongest. And then the timeline with Wrath of the Immortals kind of was a base breaker. Not a lot of people liked it. And yeah, I also live next to the airport. So the first thing I'm trying to do is to get the continuity fixed. We've got 17 kingdom books or nation books, and they're not connected to each other. So the first thing I'm trying to do is make the setting feel more organic. And so that requires me to go through and hammer out every single continuity. And there's a lot of them. Once that's done, I'm getting through that. Got a lot of help. Harvard, Thorfinn, Dan, a couple others. We've all been sitting down saying, okay, here's the problem. How do you fix it? Now, the idea is to restart the timeline at 105 or 1005 and just completely get rid of the second edition stuff. You know, it's like, it was nice, but it wasn't, there was no tension, there was no drama. Diatus was, got a mud hole stomped in them. Alphatia's gone. Alfheim's gone. There's no tension. All the nations are either happy-go-lucky, or if they are militaristic, they get beat down real quick like. So that's not going to fly. Trying to recapture the magic. So I keep saying so. I always say so. I don't know why I do that. So if the handbook takes off, I make a bunch of money, and I can afford to pay Rubus and Misha, which are going to be my two primary artists. Rubus did the Odin picture. He did the Halfling fighting the demons picture. He is just, oh my God, he has the ability to be one of the best fantasy artists of our time. I put him up there as the next Elmore or the next Caldwell. And then Misha, she's an old friend. She was one of the ones that got me, I found her at Acon. I know I don't like anime, but damn, their fans spend money. So I'll tolerate it long enough as long as they're giving me cash. And that was for a card game I wrote a long time ago. I still love that game. I need to get it back out in print. Anyways, so 7 books scheduled to get the kingdoms and the nations and all that back online. You do a full book of Thyatis, full book of Alphatia. Then you take the remaining 15 nations, throwing Serain in as another nation, just because that gives me 15. Divide them up into 5 books each, 3 nations per book. Yeah. Then that gives me the ability to do the whole setting, and I can have the 1005. Also turn the Broken Lands into New Angmor, so the Shadow Elves have their own nation, because that adds a whole nother batch of tension because you've got Alfheim, who doesn't trust New Angmar. The Shadow Elves don't trust the Silver Elves, but they have to live next to each other because there's Darrican literally in the middle between them. All right, so that gives us 7 books. Do a monster manual. Problem with the monster manual is that there's 300 unique monsters in Mystara that aren't in 5th edition. Just a lot of stuff. And if Misha charges $50 a drawing, 300 times 50, that's $15,000. And remember, DM's Guild, you're not allowed to crowdfund. I can't go, hey guys, I need to kickstart this book for D&D. Can't do that. It's against the rules. So it's all got to be organic. It's all got to be me. And I can't afford $15,000. At least not on art. Even if I do pencil art or line art, which she's good at, she drops it down to $30 of art. That's still thousands. But so one option is to break it down book by book. But that's a lot of books, especially since you want to try to get all the monsters in one go. After that, start branching out, cover you can do the Hollow World. Hollow World needs to be completely mapped out. Of course, to do all of these, I have to get a cartographer, and on my pyramid of artists, cartographers are at the top because that's a very specialized. That's a very specialized type of art. Right? You know, character artists, they're a dime a dozen. Everybody does character art. Scene art, a little bit more. You start to get cityscapes and landscapes. I was trying to talk to artists about getting landscapes done. All of my regular artists wouldn't look me in the eye because that's not easy and it ain't cheap. Faith McLaughlin did the original art. She's a real good artist. She does it all hand-drawn. Nobody ever does hand-drawn anymore. She did hand-drawn, she scanned it in. And then she did a really good job. And then somebody points out that if we're going to do the original concept for the monster ones, where it's being told from somebody's point of view, and so the monsters are drawn, or hand-drawn, those would be perfect. So I repurposed her art to the back of the books. Much as I'd love to use her art in the main book, it would look a lot better in the hand-drawn monster art, because then I can break monsters down by region. And I think that would look a lot better. I prefer the first person point of view. Can't really talk about, most of my stuff's done in first person, at least as far as the characters, because then you get insights to what it's like to live in Mystara. Do the nation books, I can throw in all of the stuff that didn't make the cut just because of space. Well, I'm still trying to figure some of the stuff out. So you get like the paladins that didn't make the cut, which were the Faris from the Yalarum. Mainly because I already had two paladins, and I didn't. I was running low on other stuff, so they kind of got the axe, but they'd be put back in. All right, try to get some modules going. Try to get some people to help me with the modules. First thing we do is have Mystara Ord game, where the players start off in the distant future after Wrath of the Immortals, and the magic's almost dead. So they have to go back, fix it, and then that restarts the 1005 timeline. And then I can fill in all the holes. There's a lot of holes to fill in. So, and start working on that. I've already got a lot of that stuff done. I think my notes are probably several hundred pages right now. There's a lot of notes I've gotten done. And trying not to get hit by a truck. Well, that's one way to lose weight. Just have it scraped off of you. Okay, so We need modules, we need source books, we need the monster manual. Probably gonna have to break that down unless I sell a whole bunch of books. In which case, I'll do it. If I have the money, I'll do it a lot. Of course, if Wizards, and if anybody wants to share this with Wizards, I'll be more than happy to explain it to them. About how the plan goes. Because the one thing is that people don't know how to pitch this game. Don't know how to pitch the setting. All the D&D settings are slightly different. They have a different focus. Mystara, if you like the Westward Marches, this is the game you want because there's always something different. You still have the two continents that we got to throw together, and Skothar, I'm doing that one tomorrow. And let me tell you, ain't much on Skothar. Ain't much at all. A little throwaway line here or there, and some mentions in Dawn of the Empire, or Dawn of the Emperors, and that's it. That is all there is. So that's all going to be written out. We can cover. I'm not touching that. I'm not. That'd be like trying to repaint the Mona Lisa. The man's better at game design than I'll ever be. I'm not going to try to improve upon it. So there's things you'd have to do. The 1005 timeline changes the Savage Coast greatly because if there's no day without magic, the red curse doesn't spread. Start coming up with new ideas on what to do with everybody. Okay, the 1005 one I've got, the war happens, but not all the bad stuff goes down and not everybody blows up. Ethengar in the 1010 timeline was feckless. Really didn't do anything for him. Every time they tried to do something, somebody beat him down. So instead, the idea is have him go after Windar, which is up north, because nobody ever talks about it. And then they conquer that one. They're the Mongol hordes. You got to give them a win. Then they can go after Denegoth. And then you've got Mongols fighting undead, and you got Mongols fighting evil humanoids. And that's awesome. That's what we need. We need conflict. Nobody likes a boring storyline where the most exciting thing is people on ships looking over and seeing new stuff, or people just going exploring. You gotta get some swords out. You gotta stab some things. You gotta make it exciting. My girlfriend told her mom that. Well, one of the ex-girlfriends. Okay, she didn't leave. She just walked out because I told her son he had to get a job. Welcome to Texas. There's plenty of jobs. There's jobs everywhere. But, so we fix up Ethengar. We keep Glantry not blown up, fighting over each other. Try to fix Etrugan. The thing with Etrugan is there was plenty of tension, but the poor guy that wrote it didn't have any time to actually do the game. When I was talking with some of the other game designers and they found out that he only had a month to write an entire Gazetteer, they went from, this isn't a great game, it's like, oh my God, what did you do to that poor man? So, like I said, we fix the Etrugan, we give the Etrugan a conflict. I keep saying that, but it's true. If you want an exciting thing, if you want an exciting story, you have to have a, man versus something. In the Etrugan, it's the old versus the new. You've got 4 of the good tribes. There's so many continuity problems with it, you can't salvage it. I had to start over from scratch. I've still got 7 pages for the revised book. Problem with that is I wrote it all Beckney, and that's going to be free to give out as soon as I get done. Still waiting on Marco to give art. It's all being done freebie. Everybody's donated. Nobody's making a penny off of that. Can't legally sell it. Yeah, I just made my turn. So, yeah, I got 2 weeks to lose 10 pounds to fit back in my suit. Yeah. I used to be skinny as a rail. Now I gotta lose 50 pounds. Yeah, damn my vanity. Okay. So monster manuals, nation books. Try to do something to increase the creature crucibles because those were one-shot wonders. And they were great, but they never did anything with them. And that's one of the problems with Mystara. You got all these great ideas that never went anywhere. What does the she do across the country, or across all these nations? What does the, outside the sea peoples, what do they look like? Where does Sarain fly? I'm dealing with issues with the topography on a lot of stuff, because if they had a blank spot on the map, they usually stuck a mountain there. So there is tons and tons of mountains where they shouldn't be. You've got mountain ranges that are way too wide, turn at sharp angles where they shouldn't. I showed the Mystara maps to my cartographer friends and my geologist friends, and they pretty much went apoplectic, because that's not how mountains work. And it's also hard to work around them, because it's like, okay, for the next 1,000 miles, there's a mountain range, and you can't get across it. You got to fly through it. Nobody's got a mountain range that thick on the real world, and that's been proving to be a problem. Now, I had an idea of a gnomish earth shaker city, which is like a giant basilisk, where they actually climb through the mountains and eat them. I thought that would be great. Got to finish putting down a few more notes on that. Be like a mountain climbing version of Sarain, but again, it'd be kind of just a one-off, because it wouldn't go anywhere except for the mountains, where they literally take bites out of the mountain and process all the minerals and ore. Then you've got Divinia, you've got the states down there, and trying to come up with stuff that's going to be canon. The 1000, going back to the 1005, we fill in a lot of holes. We go after a lot of the characters, like I think von Hendrix, Baron von Hendrix. We give him a family. We give him a reason for being evil. He's not just doing it for the lulz. Yeah. Big, loud, and yeah, I'm all turned on. You can tell. Either that or your muffler's failing, dude. I can still hear you, and you're half a block away. Turn Eusebius into the new emperor after Fingal bites it in the war. Make him a fully fleshed out character. Give the new Chancellor of Darrakan, because the previous one bought it during the war. A lot of people bought it in the war, but give Darrakan some teeth. They were these goodies, and half of their country got overrun by the Master, because they were everybody's friends. They didn't have any conflicts. Well, now they do. Now they got to rebuild the city. They got to rebuild a nation, and Minrathad's playing dirty pool. So what else is there? That's the problem with Minrathad, is they played so much dirty pool, they got no friends left. They're still selling stuff, but they're like they're the Walmart in the town. After they drove all the old businesses out, and everybody has to go to them. They don't got box sets, and they were selling them for less than cost, because they thought they could flood the market to drive everybody out. If anything needed a box set, do the city of Slagovich. I mean, the city of Greyhawk got one. I think the city of Waterdeep got a box set. Do Slagovich. I did do some changes from the 10,000 or the 10,010 or the 1010 timeline. For example, I kept Miros, because Specularum does mean watchtower in Latin, but it sounds so much like speculum, you're not going to get players that don't giggle when they hear it. Just because somebody spoke Latin doesn't mean it's a good idea. I'd love to flesh out the histories, because there's just so much blank spots. Thyattis, I'm a big fan of the Roman history. Oh my God. I was going through Rome, talking in a deep southern drawl, explaining the history of everything to everybody. Everybody thought this ignorant hick who just happened to know everything there was to know about Renaissance art. Saying the Thyattis book is just nothing. That's the problem with Dawn of the Emperors. They had enough source material for 2 box sets and they had to splice it together. The page count was big today, and that was you left out so much about the stuff of Diatus. You left out so much about Alphasia. You got like Blackheart, big evil wizardy place. What do we know about it? We know it's big. We know it's evil. We know it's got wizards. That's it. You don't set up something like that and don't go into detail about it. But they never had any space for it. So that's why I'd like to do Alphasia and Thyatus separately. So we can go into the history of Thyatus. You've got a nation that's biggest character trait. Yeah, that was me, Padre. I'll talk to him in a bit. I'm having a little problem with the IRS from 3 years ago. This company I worked for, they instead of putting $26,000 on what they owed me, they put $80,000 on what they owed me. So yeah, the IRS wants a little more money than they're deserved, and I gotta figure. I've been trying to get this thing sorted out for 6 months. All it takes is this for the company to give them a damn corrected 1099, and all my problems are over. Except this company ain't got a phone number, they don't got a physical address locally, and they don't answer emails. When Harvey hit, and I was trying to apply for unemployment, disaster unemployment, because I didn't work for